This year, the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland called on church members to pray for the future of the church. So the Reverend Dr. Martin Scott, Secretary to the Council of Assembly, and the moderator, the Right Reverend Dr. Derek Browning, came to Duddingston Kirk to launch the new initiative. Together we pray.
So the General Assembly this year issued a call to the church as a whole to engage in prayer, and specifically to engage in prayer for God to renew us, about the future of the church, and in particular about the preparation of the strategic plan which we're working on at the moment. I guess that raises for us a number of questions around prayer, and I wanted to ask you as moderator, is prayer important to you as a minister and as the moderator?
Prayer is absolutely essential to everything that I do. My own personal practice is I pray first thing in the morning. I certainly pray last thing at night. And I find what prayer does is it gives me a steadying point at the beginning and at the end of the day, where I can look to the future and then can also review what has happened. I find also as moderator, you've got a much broader picture of what's going on, not just in the church but in the wider world. And it's very helpful, I think, for me personally, but I think maybe for the rest of the church, to have those moments when things happen, people say things or do things, events take place, to bring those to God. And so you bring a spiritual, deeper tone to something that's going on. I think what I find prayer does so very often is, in a world that is so noisy and so busy, it gives us those moments simply to be still and to calm down. And prayer, finally, for me, isn't just only about the words that are said, it's also about populating those words with periods of silence, and that's so very important in our noisy world.
Some people say that they like to pray in silence, not use words at all. There seem to be different ways in which people pray.
I think, yes, I mean, people will take the silent moments. I mean, we're sitting here in this beautiful garden in the middle of Edinburgh. A lot of people will find prayer as a spiritual exercise in the open space is so much easier, where there seem to be no boundaries. But equally, sometimes people in small rooms and quiet places find those times where they can sit quietly and reflect more quietly. I think also we see a great rise in interest in what is broadly called spirituality. I noticed particularly in recent years in something we saw at the General Assembly, where there was an affirmation about the point of pilgrimage. To me, pilgrimage is a kind of prayer walk, where you're moving and praying, you're observing, you're looking, you're listening, you're engaging with the world round about you. And for me, prayer isn't just an interior action, it's something where you're looking to the outside as well. The more you observe, the more you listen, the more you hear, the more you're engaging with the world in which God has set you.
Is, does it make any difference?
For me, several key things come to mind when you raise that question. Prayer isn't about telling God what God already knows. Prayer is a dialogue, or if you're praying in a group, it's more than that, and it's about us tuning into what God is already saying to the world. So that's maybe the most important thing for me. The other important thing is prayer is not about arm wrestling the Almighty into submission. And I think so often when people are praying, sometimes what are called arrow prayers, where please God may it always be sunny on an important event. I don't know that prayer does that kind of thing. And when I think about prayer, it's a bit like one of those old-fashioned radios where people have got a dial, I'm maybe giving my age away here, on a radio, and you're tuning and tuning and tuning until you hear and God hears and you've connected together. And that to me is what prayer is about. It isn't telling God what to do or God what to be. It's about us becoming more aware of what God is thinking about what God is already planning and sharing with our world, so that we are in tune with the broader thinking of God, and indeed the broader thinking of people round about us. And I suppose that's the other thing that that prayer does. It's not simply Godward, it's also encompassing the world within which we live and what people are saying, thinking, feeling and doing. How do we find a place? So it helps us sometimes to order our thoughts and then to motivate our actions.
Thank you. We hope that you will join us in this event of prayer across the whole year. There are several things that are going to be happening and resources that will be available. If you look on the Church of Scotland website under the heading Together We Pray, you'll find that the resources are available there which will perhaps stimulate your thinking about prayer and help you to be involved. We're having a National Day of Prayer on the 25th of November, Saturday the 25th of November. You may wish to have an event in your local church or perhaps encourage your presbytery to hold such an event, and packs will be available. They will be sent to every church and to every presbytery to help you in planning for that. You don't have to wait till the 25th of November, you can start right now, and we thank Derek for taking the time to share with us in launching this event of prayer which will run throughout the year.